Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for Light Up UDL with Lumio. My name is Shay.
And my name is Katie. Today we are missing Mish, but that means that she's still enjoying her honeymoon, right?
Yeah, so we're definitely going to miss having her around here, but that means that me and Katie get to dive into a few small instructional moves in Lumio that align with UDL, Universal Design for Learning, and that are backed by our research with the University of Melbourne. So we're missing you, Mish, but we've got this covered today. So today we're going to demo a few simple things that you can start, not big lifts, just small changes that you're going to be able to make using Lumio to support not only your neurodiverse learners, but all learners. So, the big idea to keep in mind today is this. When we design for access from the start, we don't need as many accommodations later.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you're going to see today. Tools that are supporting neurodiverse learners, but ultimately they end up improving learning for all students in the room. So it benefits everyone.
Definitely, right. So, we're going to start by talking about multiple means of engagement. So, I have a shout it out, and we're starting with engagement because participation is often the first barrier to learning for students. So, I've opened this shout it out, and I'm going to ask a simple question. What's one word that describes an inclusive classroom? Okay, so Katie's going to contribute from her device, I'm going to contribute from mine, and you're going to notice there we are. We're contributing live as students. And what I love here is that students can respond anonymously from any device. They can, it really removes that social risk for them. So you can see these answers popping in that are from Katie and I. This really removes that social risk. So especially for students who tend to get anxious in class, who have who process their language internally, or who are just not ready to speak out loud, right? So that's really great. So, we have a variety of participation options, responsiveness, openness, safe, and our research with the University of Melbourne highlights how reducing pressure around participation significantly increases engagement, particularly for our neurodivergent learners. And this shout it out is a great example of something that's necessary for some, but really impactful for all students.
hmm Yeah, and it's really interesting because a lot of teachers will tell us that this really changes who participates in classroom conversations. So suddenly they open up, shout it out, and they're hearing from students who are usually a little bit more quiet or reserved. And that's exactly what we want to see in these lessons.
Definitely, that's so awesome, and it's so special to talk to teachers who you hear that that's actually happening from. So next, we're going to move on to multiple means of representation. So UDL also asks us to think about how information is presented, not just how students respond. So we're actually going to look at our immersive reader today. So I'm going to go back to this teacher handout and navigate to my immersive reader over here. It's going to be on that left-hand side, and it looks like a book. Okay, so students can listen to text read aloud. So if I clicked on a chunk, we have a mail carrier's marvelous mission text. And if I click on this chunk of text, students are now able to have that text read aloud, adjust pacing, adjust spacing, and then also translate the content and look at parts of speech. So they can change things over here, the speed, they can look at the text size, increase or decrease it, and make it dark mode if they're low vision. We can also ask it to point out the syllables and parts of speech. And then really cool is this line focus, which is really awesome for our neurodiverse learners. And then one of my favorites is going to be that picture dictionary. So if I click on a word, it's going to give me kind of like a picture that gives me a prompt for what that word means. So if I'm learning to read or if I just need that extra help, it's really, really helpful. And this matters because comprehension is about access.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I think, it goes back to that multiple modes of expression and participation and giving students the ability to explore. And this will work whether students are accessing Lumio on their own device, on the smart board, on any board or any device. So accessibility is really everywhere in this lesson.
Absolutely, yeah. And another exciting thing that we do have that kind of goes hand in hand with some immersive reader is going to be our screen reader support. So we have screen reader compatibility with several different screen readers, and what that does is translate digital text and images into synthesized speech. So that's going to be really really helpful too. And we've added these tools that help teachers design screen friend reader friendly lessons which will reach those blind and low vision students or students with dyslexia or reading comprehension challenges who benefit from hearing that text read out loud too.
Yeah, totally. So if you're using Chromebox, narrator, voiceover, all of those tools, this integrates with that directly.
Awesome. And we will move on to part three, which is multiple means of action and expression. So, right here, I have another handout. So, this is just a handout on the food chain. And UDL, Universal Design for Learning, it asks us to think about how students show what they know. So, here's a Lumio handout that I've made. Students can type, draw, move objects, add audio clips, or combine all of those. So, for example, the teacher's asking the student to draw their own three-step of food chain below, but that might not work for that student. So instead of using the drawing tool, they might want to type that. So maybe they're going to type carrot because that's going to be the first step.
Mhm.
Or maybe they want to add in a photo and they'll type in a photo of that and they can get a photo and add that into their food chain. Or even more exciting, they can actually add an audio clip. So maybe after the carrot, they know that a rabbit comes next, but they can't spell that or they need another means of that communication. They can add an audio clip and the teacher can then look at that afterwards and still grade them on that. So it's really just giving them multiple means of expressing the answers to this, right? So they're not limited to one mode of expression to answer these questions. They have all sorts of options in front of them. And our research at SMART calls this showcasing learning without reliance on language alone. And this is especially important for students that use augmentative alternative communication systems or AAC. It's important for emerging bilingual students or for learners who think visually, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and I think this can also be a benefit for behavioral mitigation, or giving students multiple opportunities to respond in ways that actually work for them will help to yeah, get the best out of that student and reduce that behavioral issue.
I completely agree. And I think too that one of my favorite things is some of those students who do have behavioral issues, sometimes they just need something a little different. And this allows a way
Mm.
to even just change up their responses so that it doesn't have to be the same day to day, right? And just quickly, because we have a bit of time, I'm going to show this teacher view as well. So I can actually look at student progress, right? So if I wanted to go in and see how Katie was doing on her handout, I can click in here and I can take a look and see that Katie has added some stickers in here. And this helps me as the teacher to redirect them. So, maybe I would say to Katie, "Oh, I love your smiley face, but do you want to put an animal in there or something like that?" Right. So that's really cool because we have that opportunity to go and check in on the students while they're doing that. And then also because we have a bit of extra time, I wanted to talk about downloading the PDFs. So the great thing is that whether our students are contributing via pictures or images or drawings or words, if we wanted to export that data so that we can keep it for ourselves, or maybe we're going into an individual education planning meeting and we need to bring evidence of their work, we can click download PDF and we're going to get a copy of the handout for each student. Now you can select individual students or download your whole class. So this is really great because even though it's an online task that they're completing, they still can see that multiple means of action and expression when we export it, right? So that's really great.
Mhm. That could also be an opportunity to continue that lesson and that progress with that student, print it out, and have them, yeah, keep going and keep progressing on their learning journey.
Absolutely. And from that teacher side, you still have that control over things. So you can, control which work you review or export without creating extra steps. And, you can also control, go in and see what students are showing you as well, right? So overall, to wrap up, designing for UDL and Lumio doesn't require more tools or more prep for the teacher, right? It's really about having better defaults. So what the work with our University of Melbourne shows is that when access, flexibility, and voice are really built into the lesson from the start, classrooms become more inclusive and more effective for everybody, for all students.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that's so important. Um, Thank you guys so much for spending some time with us today, joining our Lumio Live. If you're looking for more information, please go to smarttech.com and explore the University of Melbourne research that we've partnered with. And if you're just getting started with UDL in your lessons, try one of these ideas this week and let us know how it goes. Comment on our social media, join our ambassador program, and let us know how your small shifts are making a difference for your students.
Absolutely. We would love to hear about it. And we might pick up some tips from you as well.
Yes, absolutely. We're always learning.
Definitely.
Okay, well, thanks so much for joining Lumio Live. We will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.